Just because they're saying no, are you now changing things because you think the value isn't there anymore? Do you truly believe that? You have to connect with yourself and ask yourself those questions and really tune in to your intuition. And you got to trust that. You got to trust what your body is telling you. I'm going to kick this off with conversation number one with one of my students where we were chatting about pricing. And I am sure so many of us have been through this and have thought this. And so here's basically what happened. I got on this call with my client. She was telling me right off the bat that she is going to lower her fees for her coaching program because nobody is buying. Nobody is buying it at the price that she wants to sell it. Now, I actually totally forget top of mind what her regular price was. I think it was around the $2,500 mark. And nobody was buying at that price. And so she's going to lower it. And I asked her, what made you decide to lower it? And she said, well, nobody's buying. And I said, how many people have you had calls with, sales calls with for you to decide that you needed to lower your price? And she said, 4. That is insanity. Try speaking to 250 people before you decide to lower your fees. Okay. She let 4 people decide her value. And only she knows the value of her program. And I think this is a cycle that many of us get into, and we give up so quickly. We go out there excited to launch our business and launch our program and work with people one-to-one. And then we get on sales calls or we're in conversations with people. We share our price. People say no. And then we start to go down the rabbit hole of not being good enough. This sucks. This isn't going to work. My business isn't going to grow. I suck. I can't sell. And it becomes a whole cycle and a whole story. And then it actually holds us back from getting out there and continuing to show up, continuing to step into our leadership, continuing to own it. We cannot let 4 people decide our business, our pricing, our worth around money. The whole saying, charging what you're worth, I've actually shared this before on a podcast, how it never really sits well with me because you're never going to be able to charge what you're worth. You are worth infinity and beyond and the stars and the universe and all of it. Like you're never going to be able to charge your worth. That's not even a thing. But charging your value, that's a different thing. To really sit back and think about the value that you are offering and bringing to somebody, and you're working with somebody one-to-one in this private container and transforming their health and supporting them and creating protocols and coaching them and holding the space for them. What is the value of that? You are the one that knows that, and you need to have the confidence and conviction to really hold that pricing and honor it. And we can't let other people come on board to decide that that's too expensive. And so where do we go from here when we're really in this cycle and, we're stuck and we just don't know what to do and we want to lower our pricing and we're just, we're not really honoring the number that is the number that we really want to charge and the number that we know is worth our time and our value and all of it, right? So there's a few things. So number one, I said to this client of mine, I said that you're letting others dictate your value. And it's really important that you recognize that in business, people are going to say no to you. That's just what's going to happen. People are going to say no. And there are going to be people who can't afford your programs. And there's also going to be people who can afford your programs. Also, it's really important to keep in mind that when it comes to when you're just starting your business and you're like brand new and you haven't worked with anybody and you're putting a program together, you're kind of in this limbo, right? Like the money feels uncomfortable, putting a pricing to it all feels uncomfortable. Like there's so much uncertainty around it. So I often do tell my students that when you're trying to come up with a pricing for your program, so for this client in particular, okay, $2,500, if you haven't worked with anybody before and you're brand new and you want to get some people through the door and you want to gain the experience and you really want to fine tune your offering and what you're putting together, then I can understand charging a lower rate because You're new. You're trying to build, you're trying to learn, you're trying to understand, and you're trying to get that experience. So I totally get it. Charge a lower rate, get people through the door, gain that experience. That experience is what helps you to build your confidence. So go and do that. But also recognize that's just a temporary thing. Because as you gain the experience and the knowledge and you build that confidence and conviction in yourself and in your program, that pricing is going to go up to represent that. So I can understand why she wanted to lower her pricing. Number one, I get it. People were saying no. So she thought she needed to. And then she went on to this whole thing about how, like, oh, this isn't about, my worth or anything like that, which was actually such BS. And we had to have such a, conversation around that because she did let four people dictate her worth. And she just, she had a hard time seeing it that way. And so I told her, listen, you want to lower the pricing because you're new and you want to gain the experience and build the confidence and conviction. By all means, go and do that. Go and do that for that reason. Don't go and lower the price because four people said no to you. Now, in the coaching space, when it comes to sales, here's the thing to keep in mind. For the most part, I guess you could say the industry standard when it comes to our sales close rate is probably going to be somewhere around that 30%. So what that means is that you're going to speak to 10 people, you're going to have 10 prospect calls, and out of those 10 people, you're more than likely going to close 3. Okay, that's your 30%. So when you're brand new and you're getting on these prospect calls and you are closing and you're talking to 10 people, there's a good chance that you might be speaking to 7 people and 7 people will be saying no to you before you hear a yes. And what happens? We get a no, call number 2, call number 3, call number 4, and we just want to give up. And we're like, forget this. I got to change my whole business model. This isn't working. Like, this sucks. I got to lower the price. And we get into this whole spiral about the pricing and about the money. And we make it become this really big thing when if we just actually stick to our guns and recognize that this is part of the process and part of the learning, and there's going to be resistance and it's going to be uncomfortable and you're going to hear no's, and just trust in the process and keep going and keep following it through, you're going to make a breakthrough. Right through every major breakdown, what's the best thing that comes from that? On the other side is a breakthrough. We just have to be willing to go the distance to get to that breakthrough. And many of us aren't willing to do that. We're just not. We get the no on call number 2, forget it, I'm out. I got to change this. And we start to doubt ourselves and question ourselves. So a few things to keep in mind if you are listening to this and you are in the entrepreneurial space and you're building your business, you're building your online business and brand, you're going to be working with people, whether inside your group coaching programs or one-to-one coaching. What is the number you want? Whatever that is okay. Don't judge the number. Whatever that number is you want for your business, for your life, for your coaching packages, don't judge it. That number is there for a reason. Now, there's a really good chance many of us are going to undercharge. And listen, I think there's value in undercharging because undercharging is what's going to actually allow us to recognize how much work actually goes into this and how little we're making. That if I wanted to grow and scale this and leverage my time and freedom, what I'm currently charging is not going to be enough. And so you learn from that experience. And that's a really beautiful lesson. You're always going to learn from undercharging. So don't undermine that. But at the same time, you have to be clear on what it is you want. What's that price? What is it that you want for your business? What is the why? Like, we got to dig deeper into this and really understand so that the money can really reflect that. And we're choosing the numbers because it's what feels right for us and not because of what other people are telling us or what we're hearing on a sales call. So don't give up on yourself. Keep going. Trust in your numbers. Trust in yourself. And if you're brand new and you're just starting out and you haven't worked with people and you're trying to gain that experience, it's okay to charge less so that you can gain that experience, get a handful of people through the door, get some testimonials, and learn. That's the only way you're going to know That's how I started. That's how we all start. We all start somewhere. We all start with a bit of a messy, rocky process. It's not going to be perfect, but it's through that messy, rocky process that we can find the clarity and we can start to refine it. And then we can start to grow and we build our confidence. And that confidence is what now allows us to charge more because now we also have the experience. And so I really just wanted to share that with you guys today because I know so many of us go through this process in our businesses of people turning us down and people hearing, and us hearing no. And it just begins this cycle. And we start to think that we suck and we're just not good enough. And that's actually not the case. So I just want you to be really clear on in your business, are you doing things because of what others are saying and the feedback you're getting from customers? And, just because they're saying no, are you now changing things because you think, oh, it's not, the value isn't there anymore? The value isn't there because somebody else dictated that, or is it what you like? Do you truly believe that? You have to connect with yourself and ask yourself those questions and really tune in to your intuition. And you got to trust that. You got to trust what your body is telling you. And so we all have a money story. Takes time to work through that money story. And launching a business is incredibly confronting. And you're going to learn where your money blocks are pretty quickly once you start launching a business and start getting on those sales calls and talking to people. Another thing that I want to just kind of mention here too is when it comes to sales, a lot of us are getting on sales calls and we get really uncomfortable on calls. And I always tell my students, don't think of it as a sales call. It's just a conversation. You're just here to have a conversation with somebody. If this person has booked in to speak with you, there's a good chance that they are feeling connected to you. They want to learn from you and they want to be in your world. They want you to guide them or they wouldn't have booked in the first place. So don't treat it as though you're here to make this sale because so many of us have this attachment. I got to get on this call. I better make this sale. Oh my God, if this person doesn't buy, then I suck. And then I'm never going to hit my numbers. And like, they have to buy, they have to buy. And we go into sales calls with this energy, this like desperation. And it's really important that we let go of that. You have to let go of the attachment. Who cares if this person signs up or not? You're going to show up connecting with this person, asking powerful questions, learning about them, understanding where they're at and where they're stuck. And from there, if they're the right fit, now you can make a proposal and share about your program and how you can work together. And again, that's going to come from experience. You just have to show up and do it. You got to dive in and take action, and it's going to be messy and it's going to be rocky. It's going to be very uncomfortable, but that is how you learn. That is how you grow. And that's just how you get better at your craft.